And I hope it's popping up live now, 2 minutes after the fact. What's going on, YouTube and Weight Loss Warriors? I don't know what happened there, but it kicked me out of my own live. And so I've got to make a couple adjustments here to make sure I get my stuff all on board. So I apologize for the inconvenience. Hopefully you guys will trickle in and find this live. When I loaded it, it was like, basically saying that I didn't schedule a live, which is crazy because I obviously did schedule a live. And so I'm just trying to make sure that I got everything on point here and ready to go as you guys hopefully start piling in now that I had to create a whole new setup. But with all of that said, I got an important topic today because I want to talk to you guys about something that's a little bit different in the fact that micronutrients and macronutrients are things that we commonly hear about, but we don't necessarily have the information on, if you will. So I want to break into that. I'm hoping that I'm able to set this whole thing up. My notes are somewhere else now. I cannot believe that it didn't start when it was supposed to. So when you guys pile in, if you got questions, please leave them over here. And we're going to get into the topic right about now. So what are micronutrients and what are macronutrients and how do they play a role in hunger? And in order for us to understand that, now that I'm all set up, unfortunately, like I said, it kicked me out, which is not cool. But make sure when you guys pile in, you hit like. So there's a difference between a micronutrient and a macronutrient. And this is, hey, Tattoo Vegan, it's nice to see you. This is an important topic because a lot of people don't understand this. And we hear all the time, like if you're eating carbs, this, or if you're eating fats, that, and we hear so much information and we don't even really know what all these different things are. So I wanted to break it down for you guys while you pile in and start to ask me questions. But so there's a difference between a macronutrient and a micronutrient. Macro with an A, micro with an I. And so a macronutrient with an A is basically our carbs, our fats, and our proteins. And a micronutrient are all the vitamins and minerals and different things in our bodies that make us function. And we need both of these things. But macro, that word macro actually means large. And what large means is the majority of our energy is going to come from our macronutrients. And so when people say, what are your macros? This is what they're talking about, right? The majority of your energy source. So that's the first thing that we've got to understand, is that macros are your majority of your energy source and micros are the vitamins and minerals your body needs to be able to function. What's happening, Spivey? It's good to see you. So most every bit of energy that's going to come out of your body is going to come from carbs, fats, and protein. And these are broken down differently when you ingest food. So your carbs are going to be 4 calories per gram. So every gram of carbohydrates you have, you are taking in 4 calories for it. The exact same thing goes with protein. Every gram of protein you take in is 4 calories. So fats come in different. It's 9 calories for every gram. So your carbs and your protein are 4 calories per gram and your fats are 9 calories per gram. And so this is kind of how all of that stuff is broken down. So when people talk about like keto and they say that they want to get the majority of their calories from fat as opposed to carbs or protein, you kind of know what's going on, or they want to get it from fat and protein. And how to break it down, if you were reading the label and you understand, if it says that there's 4 calories coming from this, it's 1 gram of protein or 1 gram of carbs. And if it's 4 grams of fat, if it's 4 calories of fat, it's not even a full gram. So that's kind of how all that breaks down. And so your carbs are your fruits, your vegetables, and your starches. Really, that's where a majority of them come from. Now, I know there's going to be some people that pop in and may want to argue that there's other things, but the majority of what we're talking about are your fruits, your vegetables, your starches, right? So, and they break down into complex carbs and simple carbs. And so your complex carbs are going to have your complex carbs are going to have fiber in them, and your simple carbs are going to be, they're only going to have 1 or 2 strands of sugar in them. And your simple carbs are be able to use for energy much faster than any other source of energy. So that's something like candy. If you eat a Snickers bar, you're going to get a burst of energy immediately following the Snickers bar. That is what is a simple carbohydrate. But things get a little bit tricky because fruit is considered a simple carbohydrate. And so there's some argument there whether fruit is something that you should have or shouldn't have. And we're going to get into all of that a little bit in a minute. But I just wanted you guys to understand that. So you have your fruits, your vegetables, and your starches. That's going to be what your carbs are basically made from. And remember, simple carbohydrates have 1 or 2 sugars in them, and they are going to be burnt super quickly. Your complex carbs are going to have more than 2 sugars, and most of the time have fiber attached to them. And one of the things people don't understand about fiber as well is fiber is not a micronutrient. Fiber does not get digested. By the way, Sandra, I did see you. It's nice to see you. And as you guys pop in, make sure you're hitting like and you're over there, in the comment section asking me questions. But I want to continue with this to make sure you guys fully understand. So you got to understand that we're going to get into it a little bit more in a second, but that carbs kind of don't come in the same shapes and sizes. So we're going to talk about that, and I'm going to break that down a little bit more. So protein helps you fix your muscles. Proteins come from meat, some poultries, and fish. Proteins are something that your body breaks into amino acids, and then it uses it to rebuild muscle, to fix issues, to fix problems. There would be some people, and then there's essential and non-essential proteins or amino acids, And so when you have essential and non-essential amino acids, it's basically amino acids that your body can create by itself and amino acids that your body has to have through food. And so this is where things go, like with Tattoo Woman up there, where people will say, well, the vegan diet's missing the essential protein. Your body creates some of it naturally, but it's missing some of the protein it gets from animals. And we can get into that a little bit as well too. But this is all very interesting stuff. So where fats come in is, a lot of people don't understand this, but your fats end up breaking into a lot of your micronutrients with an I, not an A. And your micronutrients are the things you need to survive, more of your vitamins and more of your those kind of things. Yes. And so, but your fats can come in different ways too. It can come in saturated and unsaturated, as well as trans fats. And so your saturated fats are going to be, they're not as natural as your unsaturated fats. Your unsaturated fats are your healthy fats, like your avocado, like your olive oil. Those kind of fats come from the unsaturated category, and the saturated category are a lot of your other kind of healthy. They're not as healthy fats, but they're what considered okay fats from animals, fats from things like that. Your trans fats are going to come from man-made stuff most of the time. There are some trans fats in animals, but not a whole lot of trans fats in animals. So ultimately, as you can see, why I wanted to bring this point up and why this matters with hunger comes from a question I got from one of the YouTube people. And I said, man, I could do a whole video on this. So why not break it down to start the live? But ultimately speaking, as you can see, there's a giant factor when we talk about macronutrients. This is not simple. Everybody wants a simple answer. Everybody wants to hear you should eat 74% fat and 20% protein and 5% carbs, or you should eat 75% carbs and 20% protein and 5% fat. And there's all of this different information, and nobody really breaks down the reality of what you need and how it works with your body. So that's kind of where I wanted to hop in and talk about, because if you go back to our carbohydrates and we look at the simple and the complex, those are 2 different types of carbs. And when you're talking about your complex carbohydrate, your complex carbs, they're good for you. There's nothing wrong with a complex carb. Your vegetables, your stuff like that has fiber in it, even your fruit, which is considered a simple, but it's really complex because it has fiber in it. So if you compare your fiber with your carbohydrates, your insulin levels don't go up as high, the energy is longer lasting, and it's better for you. When you take that over and you take it out of your complex and you take it over to your simple, that's when things can get a little bit hairy, because that's your candy and your man-made sugars and your man-made issues, and the problems that you have come from that element of carbohydrates. So is the problem carbs? I'm going to argue that the problem is not carbohydrates, that the problem is simple carbs or man-made carbs. That's where the problem comes into play. So then when we go over and we look at protein, protein comes in the essential and the non-essential too. And most of your essential proteins are going to come from your natural meats and natural protein products like beans and such things like that. Those proteins are not bad for you. They're good for you. And generally speaking, protein is something that you've never heard of a low protein diet, or maybe there is, but you don't hear about it trendiness like you do on the low carb or the low fat. So protein is hugely important to what you're trying to do in your life, rebuilding muscle, staying healthy, just all the good stuff. But you can't eat too much of protein, and it does get converted over to sugar, but it doesn't get, a lot of people hype that up, especially in certain diets, when it's really not as big a deal as it may seem. What's happening, Michelle? It's good to see you. So lastly, with the fats, so fats were originally vilified in the 90s, and everybody said you got to stay away from all fats. Fats are bad. Fat. And that's just been debunked over and over and over again, and there's no doubt about that. So then you've got your certain diets that push that you should be eating mainly fats. But fats, just like carbs, are not created equal. And so if you're taking fat here and you're talking about, yeah, I want to eat fat, I'm going to eat as much trans fats as I possibly can. Now you're putting yourself in a situation where all of your disease factors, all of your heart disease and all of that kind of stuff is going to be way higher elevated than it should be. So trans fats are absolutely fats that you should avoid at all costs. So really, when we look at it, you should be avoiding the simple carbohydrates. You should be avoiding, the saturated fats. These are things that you should not have. And what do they have in common? Most of them are man-made. A man-made oil is never going to be as good as an oil made by nature, because we've been eating what has been made by nature for long periods of time. Although things are being genetically modified all the time in animal products and all kinds of stuff, and there's some argument to all of that, and some of that has validity. Some of it may not have validity. I'm not here to debate that. But what I am here to say is simply it is not an equal playing field, and that is where people go wrong. So to answer the question was, do I get hungry when I eat carbohydrates? And do I find that it's easier to fast longer when I stay away from them and go low carb or something like that? Well, just to answer that question and kind of the overall statement, I absolutely eat carbohydrates, and I always have, and I do not get hungry, and I'm not going to stop eating them. So that's where I stand on it. Now, with that said, I want people to fully understand that if you're having trouble fasting through because you've eaten too many carbs and you don't feel like your body's working well and it's not being efficient, your body could be vastly different than me for various different reasons, male and female, 40 years old versus however old you are, morbidly obese or overweight to, normal. All of those different things factor in on how you feel when you eat, and no two of us are the same, just as our metabolism or the energy we burn is different too. So if it's hurting you, if it's impacting you, then you absolutely should move away from using those products, those things. But I think that if you'll find that if you stay with carbs that are nature-based, that have fiber in them, you will be fine. If you stay away from man-made fats and you go to natural fats, you will be fine. And if you just stay with most protein, you're going to once again be fine and you're going to find a balance. Now, with all that said, one thing that I hear very often is that the carbs make you hungry and that fats sustain your fasts longer. But I do want to put an emphasis on this real quick, that fats may, for some people, withstand them longer because their body is switching back and forth between fat of their body and fat that they're eating easily. But the thing that satiates you the most, proven time in and time out, study after study has shown it, is protein. Protein is what holds you longest. And if you are having issues fasting for longer periods of time, you should up your level of protein. Protein is the thing that's going to help you go longer. It's going to help repair your muscles. It's going to make you feel better. And that's where things are. So I just want to sum this part of the video up with basically the understanding, and now's the time to hop over and start hitting me up in the comments because I'm coming for you in a second. But I want you to fully understand, also 18 people and 6 likes, hook me up, peeps. I want you to fully understand that fats aren't all created equal. Protein is not all created equal, but it's closer. And carbohydrates are by far not created equal. And there are so many people out here that not only have YouTube channels, but live in life and they promote whatever their diet is without fully understanding what a macronutrient really is, that they're different macronutrients, that they're not all just, carbs don't just fall into one category. They split into 2, and fats split into 2, and so forth and so on. I think I've made that point. And that each of those categories are different. And so you can say, listen, hey, I'm a complete vegan. I eat no animal products whatsoever. And you can live your life eating Oreos and you're telling the truth. But if you think that those Oreos are giving you both the macronutrients and the micronutrients that you need to function at a high level and feel good, you're wrong. And that is where the problem is. You need to eat macronutrients that create micronutrients that your body needs. And you can get that from all 3 macronutrients as long as you stick to the natural product, the product that grows in the environment, whether that be an animal or whether that be a plant or whatever the case is, and stay away from man-made things. That is inherently the ultimate diet. And I'm not perfect and I don't follow it to a T either. I'll put that out there right now. But I know that when I have a steak and potatoes, some green beans, and a banana or something for dinner, I'm going to feel 1,000 times better than if I ate in any particular diet anybody wants to name out there, because I kept it natural and I kept it to things that our bodies are used to being able to do. I ate across the board and I ate on the good side of carbs, the good side of fats, and the good side of protein. And therefore my diet is balanced. So I hope that if you watch the first 18 minutes of this video and you got into it, you can rewatch this and really understand that there's 100% a difference between something, a vegetable and a Dorito, or a strawberry and a Dorito or Oreo, and that there's a giant difference between vegetable oil and, something like olive oil, that there's a difference between an avocado and some other kind of fat that's created some other way, and that there's a giant difference between good quality, homegrown, grass-fed, nature-made meat and genetically modified, genetically enhanced, genetically forced, whatever meat. There are differences between these 3 things. And if you know that, then you can stick to the foods that not only make you feel better, but that are healthier for you. So let me hop over to the chat. I hope that was helpful. Leave me a comment if it was. Sandra, you said you don't think it's necessary to do keto to lose weight, but you have found that you're less hungry when you eat less sugar and eat more protein. Well, again, Sandra, I think you nailed it. And the big part of that is more protein. You know, a lot of people just underestimate that protein, but protein's what's going to get you through the day. Protein's good stuff. So eating less sugar isn't a bad thing, especially when you're talking about real man-made sugar. There's just no reason for man-made sugar. I know we're all guilty of it on some level, but man-made sugar is just not, not the same as something that can give you energy. And understand real quick too, that if you eat some fruits, you're going to get energy quicker than you would if you were to eat something like a steak. And it will burn through a little quicker than the steak will too. There's just no doubt about that. Those are facts. Your body is able to digest it super quick, but it doesn't raise your insulin as much as people want to make you believe that it does. And you're going to be fine in a weight loss journey eating fruits and vegetables because they have fiber. It's just the way it is, man. People don't want to talk about it, but it's the truth. So anyways, that's there. And thank you for saying that, you like me because of the common sense. But, a lot of people out there, you get married to whatever your diet plan is or whatever your way of life is. And you want everybody to follow in because it works for you. And I get it. We can talk about that too. But I'd appreciate it if some people had liked 7 people. That's not enough, man. Makes me sad. They're not going to push this out to people. It's good information. I want to help people. Got to be able to do it. Bing Lab, it's good to see you from Canada, man. You're vegan because you thought you could just eat Oreos. Well, hey, look, you can just eat Oreos and you can call yourself a vegan if you do that. It's just not going to be the best in making the micronutrients you need and probably put you in trouble long term. But hey, what's going on, Joe? You're from Canada too, man. I appreciate you guys. A potato is better than a French fry. Hey, listen, of course, absolutely. I think a lot of people definitely underestimate, that kind of thing. They think that French fries are, a potato, but once you put it in the fryer and you're frying it in some kind of oil, most likely not going to be the healthiest thing for you because chances are that oil isn't even a natural oil. Chances are that oil is just not a good oil. And therefore you're going to put yourself in there. It's one of the funny tricks. I can remember when I was a kid and I lost, I think I told you guys already, I lost weight when I was in high school and one time in middle school, high school. And then when I was 39. And so in middle school and high school, I remember low fat was what I did 100%. I'm not going to lie about it. That's what was going on in the 90s when I was growing up. Everybody was low fat, everything right before Atkins kind of switched the script. And then that led to, the involvement of keto in the public eye. I know it all didn't happen in that order, but you understand what I'm saying. But low fat was the trend. And I did the low fat thing. And I can remember margarine came out. I can remember the commercials talking about margarine being healthy. I can remember people saying this margarine thing is going to change the world and you can get it with no fat or low fat margarine and you can do this and that. And I 100% used it on everything. I can even remember the spray butters. Do you guys remember the spray butters, the no fat spray butter? Hop all over all that kind of stuff. But little did I realize that all they did was go in the lab and genetically modify things, which doesn't make it more healthy. It actually takes the opposite effect on us. And we are now creating something that our bodies are not used to eating. And so, that is wherein lies the large problems that we have is we tend to say, okay, well, they're creating this versus that. And that's why, because it's lower fat, or even when they make something now, because what you're going to see is the more trendy something like keto gets, the more you see they'll make man-made keto products that are full of things that like trans fats and things that we don't want. And they'll push them out as keto and they'll push these things out as healthy. And you look at a label and you see, hey, this keto bar is 75% fat. This is an amazing bar. It's got 20% protein and 5% carbs. This bar is exactly what I want, right? And you're not seeing the fact that this is mostly trans fat and man-made fat, and that you're going to eat this bar and you're going to do more damage to yourself than you would have if you just stayed all fruit and never and ate all carbs. So you got to know a little bit about it. And look, I watch as much videos as the next guy. I'm big on intermittent fasting and watch, what's going on in the intermittent fasting world. And I don't get an opportunity very often to see people talk about the difference in macronutrients and micronutrients, and then the difference when we break macros down into complex versus simple, into all of those different categories, and really let you know that everything isn't as we make it seem. It really, the problem is, so you have high levels of science, right? You have scientists up here, and they are going to try to communicate that information to someone that's not up there. So they simplify it to here, right? So then they give you the information here, and then you simplify it to here, trying to communicate it with everybody else. And what ends up happening is you've taken something that's very complex, very difficult, and you've simplified it down to where it's really nonsensical at all. And so ultimately, here's the thing. We want a one size fits all weight loss answer. We want a one size fits all diet answer. We want a one size fits all lifestyle answer. We want to wake up tomorrow and we want somebody to tell us this is the easy way. If you just get up and do these 5 things and you do them, and they're not going to be painful, and it's going to be easy on you, it's not going to be too difficult. And if you can nail these 5 things out, what's going to happen is you're going to lose weight. You're going to get healthy. You're going to live an extra long life. You're going to avoid dementia. You're going to avoid all of these issues. All you got to do is A, B, and C, right? That's it. Go, right? But the problem is it is all different. I'm not even going to read it. I'm just going to hit show. It says that I need to look at it, but I'm going to let it go, Spivey. So, we're all different. We're all different. And that's where this whole thing begins. And as somebody that may one day get into coaching people on weight loss, may one day get into nutrition, I've thought about even going back to school to do that. But at the end of the day, if I'm sitting down with you and I'm telling you the same information that I'm telling the next person, that you should diet in this way and you should exercise in this way and that everything should work out this way, then I'm terrible. I'm not a good person. That one size fits all mentality is what broke us into this problem to begin with. We said, hey, everybody should eat the food pyramid. And that got so many people sick. And it wasn't like, hey, listen, some people can work in this food pyramid well. And you can't say they can't, because we see people that follow the food pyramid that are in shape, that are fit, and it worked for them, right? It just doesn't work for the majority of people. So each one of us are different. And it's why on this channel, if you follow me and you watch my videos, you never see me say OMAD is the only way and you need to do OMAD. You never hear me say that. You never hear me tell somebody that does OMAD keto, hey, listen, dude, you're doing keto. You're that's not smart. You should just do OMAD. Eat whatever you want. Just eat OMAD. You got it. You don't hear me say that. Why? Because I know that OMAD is going to be different for every person. It's not going to work for every person. There are going to be people that are in pain all the time. They can't get over it. There are going to be people that have different food disorders. There are going to be people that have different physical needs. There are going to be people that do different things physically. There are going to be people that watch this channel from different ages. Somebody that's 17 years old that's overweight might need a different approach than somebody that's 70 years old and overweight. And so each one of us has to be able to find something that is working. And we have to start and then work our way till we adjust to it. So let me check out what Darcy had to say from Minnesota. Hey, Darcy, good to see you from Minnesota. You said you're walking in the mall and regretting the potato chips you ate today. Well, walking in the mall is good though. And potato chips, yes, potato chips are trans fats most of the time and probably something you should avoid. Again, that's a carbohydrate that man created versus a potato, which just grows naturally, obviously. See what I'm saying? What did your ear on the low fat diet? What did you hear on a low fat diet? I don't really. Oh, what did I eat on a low fat diet? Okay, so here's what I did when I did low fat. Tattoo woman. So this is back in the 90s. And what my dad and I did is we went to the grocery store and we would shop and we would literally take a little marker and we would, or a highlighter, and we would buy food, and he and I would shop together. My mom would kind of shop for the family, and then he and I would go and we would highlight all the food we bought, and we would make sure it stayed under 3% fat. That's how easy of a diet it what really was. So if it said 3% fat or under, I took it and I put it together, and I would not eat anything in the world that said more than 3% fat on it. So I kept my fat intake as low as possible. I tried to keep it zero, and I pretty much ate whatever I wanted to eat. And it worked out well. I lost weight. There's no doubt about that. But I also found that it was really repetitive. One of the reasons why I think OMAD's been successful for me is because I can switch whatever my meals are. When I was doing low fat, I found this what do you call it? Like little kind of trail mix type snack that was low fat. And then I had found this low fat kind of pizza thing. And then what my family was having at dinner. And I had the like little trail mix thing, breakfast time. And then I ate the same little like low fat pizza thing every single day for lunch. And then for dinner, we normally had chicken, pasta. There was probably 4 different meals we had. And I would switch each one of them. But like on pasta, I didn't have the meat sauce. I would just spray it down with spray butter, and I would just eat the noodles, and it would just be repetitive. Chicken, I just had grilled chicken. I didn't eat anything else on it. I would have green beans or something like that. And it was just these same 4 meals every single day for dinner and the same thing. And I lost the weight and I did great. And I did it for years, but I was miserable and it didn't sustain long term again because I despised it. And I don't know how you guys feel, but you can tell me in the comments. Whenever there's something that I eat repetitively, I get over it. Like, my wife made this like lasagna we got on this old website called Eat Better America. This website's gone now, but it was ways to make things more healthy. And by making them, they probably were all low fat. I don't know. I can't remember. It was such a long time ago, but we used to make this lasagna, and it was a real slick way of making it. And it was really good. And we ate it once a week for probably 5 years. And now if it gets made in my house, I want to throw up. I don't even want to eat it, So of course she doesn't make it anymore. But it's just one of those things where I think it used to it gets to you after a while. And Paula, you said you used to use that spray butter. Me too, man. I was on that spray butter all the time. You tried low calorie ice cream. It's disgusting. People put a whole pint in for 200 calories, but 200 calories of chemicals. Yeah, Sandra, I actually ironically was at the grocery store early in my journey, and I was like, I want to get some of this new ice cream stuff that's low in calories, right? So I got some too, and I smelt it and I threw it in the trash can. I was like, this is nasty. So that low calorie ice cream stuff, I don't even get it, man. I don't even get it. I really don't. Eating low fat products will make you fat long term. Absolutely, Spivey. I totally agree with you. They're not just full of sugar. They're man made. That's a thing too. So I want to clarify this too, Spivey. So when they say they're made of sugar, what they're really made of is simple sugar. They're made of sugars that have 1 or 2 sugars that go into your system and get turned into sugar quickly. It's not really sugar most of the time. It's just fake man-made carbs that your body converts to sugar like that. Boom. And your body needs sugar, right? So it just goes bam and converts it. The problem is it converts it this quickly. So your energy levels go up and then crash back down, and then go up and then crash back down. And you're hungry all the time because you're stuck eating these simple sugars that give you quick bursts and go away. They're not sustainable the way other carbohydrates are, or complex carbohydrates. So that's just something for you to think about there. But yeah, absolutely. They'll devastate you, man. Personally, weight loss, losing lots of weight on Weight Watchers type diet. Well, look, Weight Watchers, let me comment on Weight Watchers real quick. Weight Watchers is a legitimate thing. I mean, it really is. Ultimately speaking, they come up with their point system. And if you follow it, and you're and you're the normal person, now there's always outliers, but if you're the normal person, they keep you in a calorie deficit. That's what it does. The points are calories. They just made it simple. And so what they do, and this is where I've heard people complain, they do really well. They start taking Weight Watchers, like, you can have 28 points. And they're like, sweet. And they're looking up stuff and they're like, I can mix and match and do. And they get going on their Weight Watchers and their weight comes down, right? And then they go back and they've lost 10, 15, 20 pounds. And the Weight Watchers people say, okay, now you have 21 points. And they go, well, wait a minute. I thought I had 28. They're like, well, now you got to lower your points. And then they get frustrated. But that is the way weight loss is. You cannot eat as much here as you do here. It's just the way it is. This gap is going to happen. Your weight's going to come down. And that happens to people doing OMAD or people doing keto or people doing carnivore or 16 and 8 or anything else in the world. As you start to creep your weight down, you have to intake less food or move more. That's just the facts. It really is energy that we're talking about here, and you got to use it, All right. So, Joe, you said 4th week on OMAD this week, 16 and 8, stalled at 156. You feel good, size is coming down. Man, hey, listen, 4 weeks on OMAD, that's good, man. So your weight is staying at 156. Did you do your measurements? Because, Joe, I don't know if you know about it, but sometimes what'll happen is you have a fat cell. I've explained it before here, but let's say this is your fat cell, Joe. And so you're burning the fat out of the cell. Let's say it's halfway burnt right here, right? So your body will fill the other half with water because it's holding the place for this cell to replace it with fat. It's like Joe's going to overeat soon, and we want to be able to keep it easy for us to put fat back in that cell. So it's sitting here like this. And then after a while, it's like, Jesus, Joe. And it'll just wash the water out of that cell and shrink the cell up, right? So when that happens, you lose a great deal of weight all at once. So you always want to do your measurements, because if you feel like you're getting smaller or you feel like your size is coming down, knowing it really helps you understand that, hey, some point down the road, I'm going to have a big weight loss week. It's going to be one of those weeks where I lose 6 or 8 pounds and I'm like, out of nowhere, it's coming down the line sometime. And I can tell because I lost an inch, I lost 2 inches, I lost 3 inches as I move forward. So that's just something to think about to help you out there, Joe. And you said you do OMAD and 2MAD combined and maintain your weight loss. You've kept it off for 2.5 years. Yeah, no, I think that's great. And I do think I've talked to a lot of people, just so you guys know, not everybody is like me. Like I say, I'm going to do OMAD for life. My dad is another example, Spivey, where he did OMAD. And he did OMAD and lost, I don't know how much weight he lost. He went from like 180-ish to 155-ish. So not a great deal, like 25 pounds or so. But 25 pounds it is a lot of weight when you're only 180 and you're 5'11", So he got down to the weight that he left the Army at. So it really goes to show you what happened there. But he noticed that he wanted to stay in that normal range. And he started to get down towards the 140s. And I think his doctor was a little concerned, and there was some stuff going on there. So what he ended up doing was he switched, and now he does OMAD. I can't remember if it's 4 days and 3 days of 16 and 8, but he doesn't snack. And then, or it may be 4 days of 16 and 8 and 3 days of OMAD. But he has his days. He has it all planned out. He knows exactly what he's doing that day. And he planned it around his social events, because he had some events where he wanted to have lunch with different people. And so he worked it all out, and it works well for him. I think for a lot of people, it will work well. I think for me personally, I've always had a tendency to be fat. So I'm afraid I'm stuck in OMAD land, man. I just think it's the way that it is. I'm an overeater, and OMAD gives me the room to mess that up a little bit more than 16 and 8 would, even if I was only doing 16 and 8 a couple of times a week. Plus, I'm going to tell you now, I'm just speaking honestly, not only am I an overeater and all that, but I just don't have the desire to eat more than once a day anymore. But I don't think there's anything wrong with mixing and matching 16 and 8s and OMAD. And you said I should watch Dr. Greger's video that came out today. It's a good one. He talks about circadian rhythm. Yeah, hey, listen, circadian rhythm is something a lot of people, a lot of people underestimate the value of, and the circadian rhythm, it's like your rhythm with the world, like when the sun goes up and goes down and how your body reacts to it. And I'm going to tell you, I've always felt like I was out of whack. When I was young, I was the guy that slept all day long on a weekend. When I didn't have a wrestling match or reason to be up, I slept until 12, 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And then I'd be up until 6 in the morning until the sun was coming up. I've always not felt like there are times when I'm tired when the sun lights out and then the night comes out and I'm awake. It's the weirdest thing ever, and even being an adult and having a full-time job, I still battle with it. It's still something where I have to force myself to go to bed and then kind of force myself to not go to bed too late on the weekends. It's a constant, to be honest with you. My circadian rhythm's always kind of been a constant struggle, but I fall asleep much faster and I sleep much better now that I do OMAD, but I never really was in line with the stars as far as that's concerned. So maybe I do need to watch that video. All right. You said you did low fat for 5 years, failing the whole way. It makes you so hungry. Yeah, I think it again because complex having the simple carbs is just going to burn through quick, man. And it's going to, and a lot of times that's what the low fat stuff is. It's man-made stuff. And so it's going to turn into sugar quick on your body and it's going to spike you and then bring you back down. You're going to be hungry as heck. You be as low fat as you want to, right? If you eat the whole box of whatever the low fat treat is, if you will. By the way, do any of you guys remember those Wow chips that they made that tasted just like regular chips, but they had no fat? Do you guys remember that? Or no regular fats or whatever? And then they turned out to be like the most unhealthy thing ever. Shout out if you remember Wow chips, because I remember chowing those things down, man. Hey, Dr. Hirschman, it's so good to see you from India, guys. By the way, wonderful channel. If you ever want to go over and get some medical advice over there, what a great lady, and thank you for joining us. I appreciate you. Thank you. Okay, you said natural fats, Spivey. You said natural fats and proteins help you lose lots of weight and don't get hungry. Yeah, look, natural fats and proteins are good stuff, Spivey, and 100%. 100% natural fats and proteins. If you're talking about eating avocados along with some steak, man, yeah, that's going to sustain your hunger 100%. 100%. There's no doubt about it. Hey, Platinum 87, what's happening, man? I am doing pretty well. You said it's best to cook all your food from scratch, 100%. Natural ingredients. You're hitting the nail on the head, man. When we create things in labs, it's bad for you. And that's just the way it goes. So he said you can burn a lot more calories in the morning because your body shuts down at night. Yeah, no, I believe that. I believe that. Yeah, I think the wild chips did give you diarrhea. I know there was something medically, wacky about them and they had to pull them off the shelf. But I'm going to tell you, man, those things were impressively good. I'm not saying they were good for you. I'm just saying I can remember chowing down bags of those. Especially when I was on that low-fat diet. You think about that. You eat a bag of chips, you're on a low-fat diet. Eat these wild chips that are going to give you cancer. It's just the way it remembers, man. Yeah, hey, I'm glad you remember them too, December Eve, man. I'm not the only one that remembers them wild chips, man, because give me some wild Doritos, man, I was chowing down. You lost 25 pounds on a 16 and 8 year ago, low carb, and you maintain that. Now you want to start on a 16 and 8 and lose 20 more. An 18 and 6. Hey, Darcy, I think that's great. And I think, lowering to an 18 and 6 is totally doable and totally reasonable. And if you get to a point in which you're feeling like, a little bit of a stall, just increase your activity a little bit. Remember that, you're shrinking your window, which should free up a little bit of time, and so maybe you can work into where you can get an extra walk in, something like that a day will help you. And in case you guys were wondering, I'm killing it in the weight room. I've definitely been in there day in and day out. I still want to do a day in the life. I'm trying to figure out how to record myself lifting. I don't really want to. Yeah, I do got a tripod, but setting it up and taking the time, I only have 30 minutes to work out. So if I set a tripod up and I make sure all the angles are right and I hit record, on each set of everything I'm doing, I don't think I have the time to do it. So I almost need to record it in like an hour and a half and do what I normally do in 30 minutes and make sure everything's right and the lighting and all, you know how it is. But I do plan on doing a day in the life. I hope you guys would enjoy that. Platinum, let's see what you have to say here, man. We all have different systems of eating. First thing in the morning starts off. Hunger takes over all day long and overeat. I have the same problem when I eat in the morning. I don't overeat because I stop, but I'm going to tell you, every year we have our breakfast, at school, and I eat it, and I'm miserable that rest of that day. I go to sleep, I wake up the next day, I'm fine, and I hit the 24-hour mark early in the morning the next day, and I'm fine all the way until my OMAD meal at dinner that night. So I have one meal. I always only do one meal, right? So I do one meal, like let's say on that Tuesday when we have our little breakfast, and then I don't eat again until Wednesday night. And I'm hungry as heck on Tuesday that whole day. So it just doesn't really work for me either, you know. And your bodies could definitely adjust. There's no doubt about it. I think, it's amazing, and Tattoo Woman, you said you eat every day at noon, or you ate at noon today as an experiment and you feel okay so far. A lot of people feel like midday is the way to eat. I do both. I eat every single day, Monday through Friday. I eat at about 5 o'clock at night. And then occasionally on the weekends, I'll eat at noon or 2 or 3 in the afternoon, depending on if we're doing something as a family and we're out and about. I'll make that adjustment and kind of say, okay, well, and a good example is this last weekend. My wife had gotten my wife teaches yoga, for those of you that don't know. And so she's been working with this yoga studio that did all of her yoga training and everything for her for free for her to teach there too. So she was a student. She was going for a long time. And then they kind of said, hey, we'd like for you to teach. We'll pay for the classes if you work here for a year. And then she's doing that. And so she's working all that stuff out. And in the process of her doing yoga with this studio for Christmas, they got her a gift card to a restaurant. So she said, let's go on, I believe it was Sunday of this week. We went out to the restaurant. I almost filmed it, but I forgot my camera because I thought, hey, why not? You guys have never even been to this place. So I felt like going into it totally blind and trying to figure out what to eat and how to go on my OMAD meal would be cool. But it was also at noon. So because that's what it worked out in my schedule that day. I needed to go on a big walk that afternoon. So I was going to be out walking for 3 hours. So we didn't want to wait until after that for me to be able to see it. And, that's where that kind of went. But anyways, long story short, I think that eating at different times is okay for me. I can eat at noon, but when I'm eating at 8 in the morning, I get a little hungry that night. So let me see here. He said, you'll probably stick to breakfast and doing the warrior. You'll probably stick to skipping breakfast and doing 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. I think that's a fine time too, man. The only thing I would say is I wouldn't go later than 8. And that reminds me, I'll probably do a whole video on this, but I want to talk about alcohol and fasting in 1 second. But I want to answer Sandra's question right here. Sandra, to be honest with you, I did not watch The Biggest Loser last night. I started to, and it was just, it was bothering me. And I told everybody I was going to recap it. And then I got frustrated and I was like, I just don't want to support the show. And then I had read that the girl broke her foot. I don't know if that actually was showed last night or not. You can let me know if that was aired, but they were running an obstacle course and she jumped into the lake or something and broke her foot. And it just kind of rubbed me the wrong way again, that these morbidly obese people, they're killing them, and they're showing us at home that is the way to lose weight. And if you're 400 pounds, it's not the way to lose weight. I'm sorry. So it bothers me a little bit, and I kind of shied away from it. I may catch back up from it. They didn't show that at all. Did they? All right, answer me this, Sandra. It might be a future episode. Did they run an obstacle course? If they ran an obstacle course, one of the contestants broke their foot for sure. I might be an episode down the line, but I did read an article that was basically a health and fitness person. They did run. A girl broke her foot on the show yesterday. So they didn't show it, but she did. And that's the problem with the show right there. Like, you're literally putting these people's health at risk. Let me ask you guys this. If you went and got a personal trainer, you're morbidly obese in your own city, do you think that, yeah, I don't know if it's tires in the mud. It was a whole obstacle course that they were running when she broke her foot, but she literally jumped off of something into a lake. And when she landed, she fell over and started, screaming. They came out there and they had to take her off. But ultimately, this is the facts here. If you sat down with a personal trainer, how many do you think that you would be injured? Like, not sore or whatever. Maybe a personal trainer takes you through some weights you're not used to, but a broken ankle, probably not going to happen. But it happened on the show because what they're doing is putting those people at risk. That's my 2 cents on it. Okay, you can't do 10,000 steps. Is 1850 good enough? You're 53 years old and 225 pounds. December, yes, ma'am. 1850 is good enough. 8,500. Let me tell you this. 10,000 steps. What is 10,000 steps? 10,000 steps was actually invented in Japan because a guy created a way to count your steps the first time it ever happened. And it would, at 10,000 was the number he set it at. That's the only reason we put the number 10,000 there. Now, I want you to fully understand that also when they've done tests and when they look at a normal range person, if they're walking at a high intense speed for 10,000 steps all in one sitting, it burns 500 calories. And 500 calories equals a pound of body fat burned a day. So that's where the 10,000 steps comes in. But if you are walking at a hard pace and you're walking for a good amount of time, you may not burn 500. You might only burn 350 or 400 calories. But that's 400 calories or 350 calories that you did not burn if you didn't walk those 8,500 steps. So absolutely, 8,500 steps is good. And if you feel good and you're not sore from doing that, do that and keep going. And when it becomes easy peasy, make it 9,000. And when that becomes easy, make it 10. That's all. And if you never get to 10, you never get to 10. First step is to take one step, and 8,500 is great. By the way, the average person in the United States walks 6. So you're already walking 2,500 more than the average person. And the average cow also walks 6,500. So that's just something to keep in mind. A cow in a field walks 6,500 steps a day. Person only walks 6,000. You got to do what works for you. 100%. Steps are really good. Keep doing it. I agree with you, Spivey, man. Just keep on going. Yeah. I think it's probably a future episode, Sandra, but that when I read that article, it rubbed me wrong. And I was like, man, I just don't want to support, a show that's supporting people that are getting injured and not doing it the right way. I can't stress to you guys enough that you need to watch what you put in your mouth before you start physical activity if you are morbidly obese. If you do it wrong and you start physical activity, you're risking yourself pretty good. You should get your eating under control and get your health moving in the right direction and then increase your activity. All right, I want to address alcohol real quick while you guys are over there. If you got any more questions, thank you, whoever just hit that like. You were reading my mind. I was about to point up, look at this. I was like, bam, hit that like button. A couple more people hit it. I'd appreciate it. And yeah, we would love to keep it updated, updated next time, future times. Let us know how many steps you're doing. We would love to hear it. Now, I wanted to talk to you because I got a question about it's from somebody that said they really wanted to do OMAD. And the problem was not eating. Hey, Rose, thank you for hitting that like button. I appreciate you. Thank you very much. But the problem, they said, wasn't eating. They could eat one meal. They said one meal is no problem at all. They got it, right? They're good. They said the problem for them was they enjoyed alcohol, beer specifically. That's what the thing they said. They love beer. And they said they cannot just drink one beer with their meal, and OMAD's not going to work for them no matter how hard they try because of alcohol. And I had a conversation that was sent to me in a message. And then I had a conversation with a personal friend of mine that's a wine drinker, and she said the exact same thing. She said, I love the idea of what you're doing. I love everything you're preaching to me, but I have to have a couple glasses of wine, and there's no way that I want to force them into an hour, and this is an issue. So first, I want to say that I am not at all anyone's mother and father, and it's your business how much you drink and how often you drink and the amount of alcohol you consume. A lot of theory is that one thing of alcohol a day is actually healthy for you. Some people really believe that if it's the right alcohol and everything else. And then, of course, the more alcohol you drink, the more unhealthy it is, keeping in mind that alcohol is legitimately poison that you're putting in your body. It really is. I'm not trying, like I said, I'm not trying to be your dad. Not trying to be your dad. You want to drink alcohol, drink alcohol. Here's the thing with the alcohol, though, and what I was trying to get him to understand is, so if you eat, let's say the whole 16 hours you're awake, and you drink a 6-pack of beer or 6 glasses of wine at night every single night. Now, that 6-pack of beer and that wine is probably going to cause you some liver failure in the future. But again, I'm not trying to be your dad. So being that you're eating for 16 hours of the day, if you went and you changed that to OMAD, you're going to have huge results despite the fact that you're drinking a 6-pack of beer at night. So when we talk about fasting, we talk about all that kind of stuff, we put it in a vacuum that says you cannot break your fast. You have to be pure to your fast. You have to be able to do this. And if you want to drink 6 beers throughout the whole course of the day, that's probably not the brightest idea. But if you go into the mentality where I'm going to go warrior diet here. So I'm going to do OMAD warrior. That's what I'm going to call it. It's OMAD warrior, right? What I'm going to do is I'm going to have one meal. I'm going to have it at 6 p.m. at night. I'm going to sit down at let's say 6 o'clock. I'm going to be done eating at 7. I'm not putting another bit of food in my mouth at past 7 o'clock. So you sit down to do that. Now you are eating and you have a beer at 6 o'clock with your food. You're eating and you drink there. You have a beer at 8. You have a beer at 9. You have a beer at 10. So you drink 4. Okay. You just did the warrior diet technically. You took in calories for 4 hours because the beer has calories or the wine has calories, right? But you still fasted for 20 hours. Which is going to be hugely beneficial to your health and to your weight loss. So you can do OMAD and drink alcohol for 4 hours, especially on occasion. If your people are coming over, you have, your good friends are coming over. They're going to watch the game with you. Here it is, the Super Bowl Sunday. Woo, Super Bowl Sunday. Yeah, we got to go, Yeah, we're going to go 6 o'clock to 10 o'clock at night. We're going to have fun. Nobody cares. Drink your alcohol. Drink your alcohol. Nobody cares. It's fine. You're going to be okay. And if you do it day in and day out because you like to have 3 beers, do it. Drink your 3 beers in a 4-hour window. Now, there's no sense in drinking at 3 in the afternoon, then 6 o'clock, and then 8 o'clock, and then midnight. Let's not do that because we're just spreading out our calories to a point where our body has to constantly work and we never take a break away from food and the digestive system. So my advice when it comes to alcohol is if you're going to do it, keep it in the warrior window. You can still eat OMAD. Technically, I'm eating 1 meal a day and I'm keeping my alcohol in a 4-hour window. And keep in mind, again, that if you're not drinking every night, that's huge because now you've put yourself in a situation where most nights you're just doing OMAD. You're doing OMAD Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. You have a beer with dinner, you do OMAD. You're good. Then Saturday comes around, you like to drink a little bit more. You like to hang out a little bit more with your friends or whatever. So now you're drinking and you're eating until 10 o'clock at night. And now if you're that guy that has to go out and you want to party all night because you're 20 years old, 21 years old, 22 years old, you want to go to the club and you want to, have fun and you want to stay with your friends, but you still want to be on this weight loss journey, things get a little bit trickier, but not much. Just don't eat your OMAD until 10 o'clock at night. Now you have 10, 11, 12, 1 o'clock in the morning. Now you're getting close to last call. Cut it off at 1 o'clock in the morning. Should anyways, get your cab and go home. keep all your calories on that weekend in that 4-hour frame while you're at the club. So and shift your window back to normal. Yes, you have a shorter fast the next day because if you're eating again at 6, it's a shorter fast, but you had a longer fast on the night you went to the club. You didn't eat at 6, you ate at 10. So you got another 4 hours and you went 28 hours without food. So it's okay if you only go, a few shorter hours the next day. So I just wanted to throw that little advice to those of you that do drink, that are a little younger, that like to go out and do it, or like to have a drink with your husband or wife or whatever the case may be. People that are dating, they want to go out on dates on the weekends. Go out on the date. Don't think too much about it. Just try to keep it in a 4-hour window. There's no need to spread something out for 8 hours. Nobody just, or even worse, 12, 14, 16 hours. Nobody needs to do it the whole day long. Give yourself a break from food. I appreciate it. I hope that was helpful. Hit like a couple more times while I read the last few of these people's. I appreciate all of you. Okay, you said, this is when you decided your priorities. Beer is much more important than your health. Listen, Sandra, I agree with you. Look, I don't drink. I'll put that out there right now. I don't drink. But with that said, I think that there is room to put anything in a box is wrong. To say that because you drink, you're unhealthy is just as bad as saying that all vegans are unhealthy because they don't have enough protein and all keto people are going to die of a heart attack because they're ingesting too much fat, and carnivore people are going to die of a heart attack, and that CrossFit people can't build muscle, and powerlifting people can't run a mile. Whenever we start to cross over to these gross assumptions, it's not really good for us, right? So you can drink alcohol and be healthy. Now, you can't drink alcohol every single day and be healthy. Common sense, right? Common sense, right? But you can do it occasionally. And I think it's powerful to at least know that if I'm going to go out and do it, this is a game plan to do it with. And, not many people are going to make it an hour into this video. So down the line, sometime I'll probably do an alcohol and fasting video for everybody. But I do think that the knowledge that I just dropped is very helpful. And I hope it helped, the person that had to do it. And you just hit the nail on the head. I haven't caught up on the rest of it, but it caught it in the corner of my eye. You love cheesecake, but you don't need it every day. Hey, listen, that's it. That's it. There is nothing wrong with you bi-monthly having a piece of cheesecake. I might even dare to say, if you do things right, weekly, cool. Daily, that's a little different, and that's kind of where everything goes. Hey, the secret, here it is, guys. I'm going to give you the secret. I'm going to give you the secret to keto. I'm going to give you the secret to carnivore. I'm going to give you the secret to intermittent fasting, OMAD, weight loss. I'm going to give you the secret to success, the secret to life, the secret to your relationship with your husband and your wife, your boyfriend and your girlfriend, the relationship with your children, your work, everything. Are you guys ready for it? Wait for it. Balance. That's what it's all about. You have to balance your food intake with the energy you expend. That's it. Now, you have to balance your time at work with your time at home. You have to balance your time at work with your husband and your wife. You have to balance, the amount of alcohol you drink with the amount of exercise you do. It's all there. In any one of these categories, if you overdo it, it's going to hurt another category. If you over-exercise and you spend every moment of your life in the gym, your work is going to suffer. Your relationship with your wife or husband is going to suffer, right? Your relationship with your kids are going to suffer. If you go out and party all the time and you drink, your health is going to suffer, right? If you eat cheesecake every single day for 6 times a day, your health is going to suffer, right? But if you balance your different stuff out, you're going to make it. And so that's what we're all trying to do. And this is the part of the video that I drive home every single time. My balance is different than your balance, and we have to be able to find that. And when we find that, we're golden. And hopefully, most of you are getting golden. So let me catch up with the last few here. You said you're 49 years old and you party way too much. That's good stuff, man. You're 29 and you don't party at all. That's funny, man. You guys are a trip. Hey, thank you, man. I appreciate you, Joe. And I'm glad I'm helping you, man. I hope I help some more people. I hope some more people drop a little thumbs up on here so this gets out to more people on the replay tomorrow. I will have a brand new video Friday, brand new video Saturday, brand new video Monday. Look forward to those, guys. I'm looking forward to hitting you guys up with them for sure. Thank you, Tattooed Woman. I appreciate you so much. Thank you for the bits. You are amazing. 5 is a nice spot for you to hook me up with. I appreciate you. You are the queen of the weight loss warriors. I'll tell you what an amazing lady she is. All right. And then you said life is too short not to party. Not good for your health though. Hey, listen, Spivey, life's too short not to party. Life's too short. Life's too short to die short too. It's the balance. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to die too soon. Life's too short. Die too soon, not too good. You know what I'm saying? So you got to balance. Balance is the key. You wish you could eat Subway cookies every day? Hey, man, listen, I'm going to tell you what, since you brought it up, like 6 of them, you got the chocolate chip over here. That's good stuff. Let me just tell you this. Subway cookie, if you get your sub in the oven, back in the day, now I don't get Subway very much these days, but back in the day, your sub in the oven, in the bag with the cookie, and you get home and you eat your sub and you pull out the cookie and the chocolate chip is melty, that's like priceless. Subway cookie right there. That is a good cookie. Can't remember the last time I had a Subway cookie, but I would agree with you. And 6 of them probably is not the best idea because it knocks us out of balance. But I could probably eat a dozen. But you know, hey, it is what it is. Everybody hit the like. Thank you, Sandra. Thank you, everybody that watched tonight. I appreciate each and every one of you. So, like I said, make sure you guys are ready for upload. This video will be there for replay tomorrow. The oatmeal cookies are your favorite. My sons and I we also like the sugar cookies a lot. My wife likes the chocolate chip. I like the melty chocolate chip, but oh well, whatever. Can't even really talk about it. But anyways, I'm going to let this play for tomorrow, and then I'm going to hit you guys with a brand new. Hey, man, thank you for the 2 bits too, Oni, man. You are the man. Thank you, man. You guys are awesome. I can't say enough about you guys. Thank you so much for being weight loss warriors. Don't miss those videos. 3 of them coming out in the near future. I'm recording them, and I'm trying to do a day in the life in the next few weeks. And I also got a surprise real video that I'm putting a lot of work into that I think is going to be really good. Planned out. I'm going through the motions now. It's going to take some time to record. It'll be sometime down the line with my day in the life, but I got 2 really impactful videos that I think are going to help you guys out and enlighten you guys in some ways. And if you did not catch the beginning of this and you're chilling with us now, make sure you watch the first, I think it was 16 or 18 minutes, where I break down micronutrients and macronutrients and the difference between the 2 of them and kind of the truth, because we just get filled with all kinds of lies. I tell you the difference between them. So you guys make sure you pop back to the beginning 18 minutes of this video. I think it's very useful information, man. Later to YouTube Platinum, I will catch all you cats on Friday's video. Appreciate you guys. Thank you for joining me today. If you're catching the replay, I'm going to have some kind of special video right about here. And I'm going to put my face right here. And if you click on it, you will subscribe to this channel. It is free. It's free, peeps. But the information I'm hooking you up with, it's priceless. I'm going to catch you guys Friday. Peace.